Okay, here I'm is, here I'm be. Let me turn everything up. Can y'all hear me okay? Sorry for the long intro. I had no idea it was 8 o'clock already. All right. Looks like some of y'all in here already. That's all right. There's Clintonzilla, Adam Wolf, a.k.a. Katie After Dark. Marvin, Brad, Walt Wheat, Sean, Brian, another Brian spelled in a different way, Mondo. Mondo has a really cool tribute to Charlotte graphic that I'm sure he will share with you at some point. Hold 1 second, everybody. All right, maybe a little longer than a second. Now, some of you may be saying, damn, Jack Clayton, you're ill-prepared, son. And you would be correct. I am. I was sitting there doing something over here on the other table. And see, all the batteries in every clock I have in here are dead. Which I guess means I'm going to have to change them at some point. And I had no idea it was already 8 o'clock. When I looked at the clock, it was 8:04, so that was 6 minutes ago. But here we ams. I'm trying to... yeah, here we go. Now we're good, I think. All right. I do have a few things to talk about, but I do not have a topic per se. So this would be a good time if there's any questions that you may want to ask me. This might be a really good time to do that. What do y'all think? Are any of y'all fans of Tiny Tim? When I say Tiny Tim, do you even know who I'm talking about? What do you think of Taylor Swift? I honestly, I do not think about Taylor Swift at all. I could not name one song. I don't think about her. I know a lot of people get upset about her because she's so popular, but that doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me at all. Oh, I see some good questions in here tonight now. Let's see. Thoughts on Vince McMahon debacle? But to be honest with you, I am so out of the loop on what's happening in wrestling these days. I don't even know what the Vince McMahon debacle even is. If someone can hit me to that, maybe I can discuss it a minute. All right, I see a lot of people saying, oh yeah, I love me some Tiny Tim there, son. Well, I want to tell you something. You see, my pal and my business partner and my minister of props and gander, Malcolm Tent. He also your host of Tent Talks Tunes. He owns a very, very great record label called TPOS. And he recently has put out a record that Tiny Tim himself described as the greatest record he's ever done. And it's on vinyl right now from TPOS Records. You just either watch Malcolm tomorrow night and he'll show you his website addresses and his, everything he's got going on. I was, like you said, I was very ill prepared. I planned on doing a big thing, pushing some of the stuff that he and I have out. I figured I'd get you all when you're fresh right now and tell you about that Tiny Tim album. So when we press stuff, it's not going to be in print forever. We really hope to sell out of this stuff quickly. So, you need to get this. It's in several different colors of vinyl for y'all that are into that. I like to have all the colors. Whether you have that. If you just want the record, just bam, bam, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, I don't even give a damn. You will be catered to as well. Tiny Tim said it was the best album he's ever done. And it has come out on vinyl last year. The very end of last year. So we can go ahead and say it came out this year. On Malcolm Tent's label, TPOS. I'm hoping I had it right here with me so I can show you guys what a nice product it is. Well, Malcolm, I'm trying to push the Tiny Tim. Let me step right over here again. I'm ill prepared. I am ill prepared. But that's all I got to say about it. Malcolm Tent put it out. It's he knocked a good chunk out of the pressing right when it was released. So don't wait around going, oh, I can wait 5 years and give me one of them, son. No, you probably can't. You probably need to get it sooner than that. All right, guys. I tried to not talk about this, but I'm going to have to talk about it because it's driving me crazy. You see, my face looks pretty beat up right over here. Look at all that. Oh, yeah. I'm swollen. One listener who absolutely could not get his mind off my skin tags will be very happy. They're all going to fall off this week. They got frozen yesterday. I don't know if any of you ever had anything like that done, but it feels like you're getting tattooed on your face. And yesterday I was really swollen. I thought about wearing one of them Phantom of the Opera masks or something, but then I was like, man, y'all have seen me scarred up, bruised up, beaten, missing teeth and everything else, so this ain't going to affect it. I was trying to kind of turn so you could, but I can't figure out where. Yeah, trying to figure out where you couldn't see it better, but I can't figure it out, man. It's all reversed. I'm kind of frazzled because I break on through late, but Jeff, my main Jeff Martin's got a wonderful question right here. Absolutely. your favorite Kiss song? That's an easy one for me to answer, Jeff Martin. I'll tell you what it is right now. Let Me Go, Rock and Roll off of Kiss Alive. There is no better example of rock and roll, at least 70s rock and roll, in the world. Brian Russell, Jeff, do you remember when you sang with the Murder Junkies and you guys played the Wizard and we went there and had the craziest ice storm? It was almost like we were skating coming out. Yes, I do remember that very well. Not good to have a show in the foothills of the mountains of North Carolina during an ice storm. It's not very good. Not very successful. But you do what you must do. You know how it is, man. If one person shows up, the show must go on. And it did. All right, Malcolm's already got a link for the Tiny Tim Prisoner of Love album. Right here in the comments. All right. Brandon, my main Brandon Yeti, our road dog, says to me, Vince is basically being canceled for all the pervy stuff he made divas do and then paid them off to be quiet. Oh, yeah, well, that's, I'm not surprised by any of that, and, oh boy, I've missed a lot of questions. All right. Yeah, I'm not, what do I think of the Vince McMahon debacle? Y'all might have eaten a little pineapple. See, you eat the pineapple, helps that swelling go down. I know you're like, well, damn, Jeff Clayton, why can't you eat some pineapple before you got on break on through? Good point. I should have. Biggest payday Rip Carnage ever got. You know what, Mondo? Whatever payday Rip Carnage got, that was probably the biggest payday Rip Carnage ever got, man. We got paid something, but it was never a thing where I'd go, man, I can just see me now being full-time in wrestling. You know, Rip Carnage was my manager name when a couple guys from around the Kings Mountain area were training me in wrestling. And I was Rip Carnage. I wore the Rebel Flag robe, very similar to what the Freebirds wore. And I carried around a chrome femur bone. And I was managing a very talented wrestler named Mad Dog David Lynch. It was a very, very fun. I mean, I am glad I got to experience it because I mean, I had some great times, and I guess one day I need to do a show just on Rip Carnage. That was one of the first times that I really got to know George South. You know, George is a notorious bleeder. And I wanted to, the short time that I was in the sport of kings, I wanted to also be known as a bleeder. Someone who got good color. And I did. First match. Oh, man, they were telling me that, hey, Rip, you need to go back in the dressing room. Hey, I'm okay. Well, you're scaring all the old people and all the kids. Okay, I get you. I'll get into more detail. I'll do a Rip Carnage show sometime. But Peter North ate a lot of pineapple for effect. That's good to know, Brad. Oh, yeah. But, yeah, I don't even have the Rebel Flag robe anymore. I sold that to a young man named Jasper from down in Georgia. The chrome femur bone is in the possession of my oldest daughter, Carrie Clayton. Up in the great state of Indiana. One thing I did prepare tonight, I'm going to do a little thing called Unpopular Opinions. And I'm just going to squirt them out. Bop, 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 bop. And I guess we can discuss them if you like. But they're going to be very unpopular opinions. But first, I'm sure you all know, if you watch Break On Through, you all know that I have a record label. Following my mentor, Malcolm Tent. I know all kind of people. I know a record mogul, Malcolm Tent, and I'm trying to establish a label akin to TPOS. And it's called, and you know, I had people call it, oh man, you need to call it Jeff Clayton Records, Clayton Records. No, I don't want to do that. Instead, I gave it my nickname moniker. Longhaired Weirdo Records. And to date, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 releases. The first one I did, and I am so proud of this. Unfortunately, like the arrangements for it were made before my friend and my true mentor in music, the guy that really kind of showed me the ropes. Because I told y'all before, man, when I came to Charlotte, I was green. I was as green as the grass at home. And Scott Savage, I was able to reissue his very first 7-inch from 1978. And a very proud achievement for me. And I'm doing this to give a push because I don't never really push the Longhaired Weirdo stuff that often. But I'm going to take a few minutes here to go over it a little bit, and then I'll go into some unpopular opinions. All right. As mentioned, Scott Savage. Memento Mori. 2-song 7-inch. Classic Charlotte garage rock type stuff. Psychedelic sounding. From 1978. Now, all this stuff is available on our big cartel store. And I would appreciate some Longhaired Weirdo patronage when you go to get your ANTiSEEN fix. The second release on Longhaired Weirdo Records was not a record at all. It was a CD, and it is called The Streets Living Theater. Now, this is the band that Scott Savage had when I met him, and the one that was the big influence on me. And I got my first job as bouncer with them. I got my first job as roadie with them. Scott and Jeff Murdoch from this band, they were both responsible for the making of the Drastic EP. So I'm telling you, they were really, they really took us under their wing. And Scott released this in 1984, I think. Yeah, 1984, of a live performance at the Milestone. And the entire performance is on this wonderful CD, of which there are only 100 of. And I personally numbered each and every one. I'm down to about the last 15. That wasn't the second thing, was it? Yeah, it was. The third thing now. This is going off the beaten path for old JC. But I was very honored to do it. A fellow that I've become great friends with over the last few years. And he has these atmospheric spoken word type things that he had done in years before. And I just got to think, well, I'm a brand new label trying to push new type of stuff to be, real obscure stuff, and for the most part. And I'm not really interested in putting out someone's entire catalog. I would rather do compilation. See, I have not done a 12-inch record yet. I've only done 2 7-inches, and by the time next time you see me, 4 CDs. But I'm very proud of this one, and this is also one that I am down to about the last 12. And after I'm gone, I'll have to direct any sales that would go from this direct from the artist himself. But you know what? I don't care. It would be okay with me if you went ahead and did that anyway. You get it directly from the man himself. He'll sign everyone. And I'm talking about the one and the only Mr. Callie Hellstrom. The Wolf Within. Look at that good stuff. Our main man, Mike Harper, did the artwork for that. He does a lot of artwork for Anti. You'll see more Mike Harper here in the next few minutes. And, if you really want something that's out of this world and a little, like, way off the beaten path, then I recommend this to you. Walt says that his daughter really loves this CD. She's a lot younger than us, but, she recognizes true art when she hears it. Yes, Brad, they were indeed good people. Walt Wheat said, such a great CD. Any of y'all watching tonight who don't get Streets Living Theater need to come correct on that by airtime of next week's BOT, and I agree with what he said. But I'm going to tell you something. As much as I love that first 7-inch from Scott, as much as I love that live performance, this was my crowning achievement. The reason I even wanted to start the label. My plan was to originally, you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to find whoever has the copies that the band had of the album, and I was simply going to create a new cover, maybe some new inserts, and make it be like a split release of Standeck Records and Longhaired Weirdo. But I was never able to track this down because 2 of the members are deceased, and one of the members of the Streets Living Theater was also an ANTiSEEN member. But I do not know how to get in touch with him anymore, and we could not track the drummer down to save our lives. But this was the one I think I am the most proud of, because it was my intention to release this in the beginning. And if you have not purchased one, I got them priced cheap now. I'm not pricing them like they're collector stuff. I'm pricing them because I want people to hear these things now. I want people to discover, because Scott put out that 7-inch, put out a record, put out a cassette, but you know, his appeal mainly remained somewhat regional, and I would like to change that. Like I said, I was able to make these arrangements with Scott before he passed away. Even this one, even with this album right here, I was talking, you know, just a few releases, and I was basically going to be a Scott Savage reissue label. And but this one is the one I'm most proud of. Their debut album, which was produced by Mitch Easter. Most people from North Carolina recognize that name. This is their debut album called Streets Living Theater. I called everything Scott Savage's Streets Living Theaters, just so it kind of blends everything together. This is some really good stuff, man. It was very easy when trying to describe the Streets to say, oh man, Doors influence. And they are. I'm not lying to you about that. But I also think if you don't say groups like Joy Division, Patti Smith group, and even, you might think this is odd, naming those groups, but even a dark kind of version of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Yeah. Very, very original group. And I really miss these guys. I missed them as a band. I missed them all as people. But this lives on. And I'd like to encourage you to please give it a listen at some point. If you're coming in and buying some ANTiSEEN stuff and you decided you're not going to buy some deodorant this week, go ahead and get you a Streets Living Theater. Now, that was number 4. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, right here would be Longhaired Weirdo release number 005, but it has not come out yet. But I'm here to make the announcement. I'm here to make the announcement that next week, I plan on having a special guest in the studio sitting right here beside me. We'll probably be over there. Probably sitting right beside me. Eddie Ford of the Self-Made Monster. She's going to be on here with me live next week. And the reason he's going to have him here, because not only because I have lots of great, interesting conversation with him, but we are going to be showing you and letting you know it is on sale. The best, it's called a fine stew. The best of Self-Made Monsters so far. 18 songs, all taken from their, almost, over, probably close to 20. Yeah, Brian, I see Brian say, yeah, the Self-Made Monsters rule. And that is true, Brian, I do. And Brian is also in a really cool band called October, who's also got a very long, long history here in this town. You never know what might come out on Longhaired Weirdo records. But here's number 006. Another thing I'm very proud of. My old pal Joe Buck. And Joe Buck yourself. Bitter is the Day 7-inch. 2 versions of this. Black vinyl, gray vinyl. Gray vinyl, there were only 100. Black vinyl, only 200. And it is a split single. Who is it split with? Joe Young. If I have to tell you what band Joe Young played in and you're watching Break On Through, you might want to find you another sod cast to listen to. And see, there's some more of that great Mike Harper artwork there. So, there you go. That's the Longhaired Weirdo catalog to date. But the next thing we're talking about is an anthology of Judas Bullethead. And it's not just going to simply be the 3 records we put out in our 30 years of existence, but it's going to be almost a full LP's worth of stuff that has never seen the light of day. So that's something to look forward to. There is also plans for a Hembree, and I'm talking about Zach Hembree anthology CD. All the Hembree recordings on one CD, and that's the kind of stuff I like to do right there. So that's some good shit to look forward to. I had two lists I wanted to read you, and I'm going to go ahead and start with some unpopular opinions. So I may not get to my second list. I may have to do that. I won't be doing that next week, especially if Eddie is indeed here. What would determine if he's here or not is when I get the CDs, and I'm supposed to be getting them very soon. Unpopular opinion number 1. I did not like Joey Ramone's complete leather or latex look that he had for a little bit. I thought it looked ridiculous. I didn't like it. Guess it was leather. Second unpopular opinion, I did not like the Lemmy cowboy hat phase. I don't like it. Damn, you must not like Motorhead. No, I love Motorhead. I love every lineup of Motorhead. I just didn't like that cowboy hat. I didn't like it then. I don't like it now. The Bad Brains. Incredible live band in their peak. But I'm going to tell you something. I like their reggae better than their hardcore. There, I said it. Unpopular opinion. Now, this is one I've probably brought in all the episodes of Break On Through I've done. I know I've brought this up time and time again. But I love the Clash. I love the Clash. I love their spinoff groups, Big Audio Dynamite. The stuff Joe Strummer was doing on his own. Carbon Silicone. I got to meet Mick Jones when he was playing with Carbon Silicone. Everyone's like, oh man, it's got Tony James from Generation X, and it was cool meeting him. But man, I was just fanboy number 1 getting to meet Mick Jones. But I love the Clash. But I do not agree with a lot of their opinions. I do not agree with most of their opinions when it came to political stuff. Now, I did agree with a lot of their social stuff. I definitely agreed with a lot of their us versus them mentality, but I have a feeling that if Joe Strummer and I were able to sit down and talk while he was still with us, that our versions of who them is might be quite different. Now, on the completely opposite end of the spectrum, when it comes to politics, I would say that I agree. I got 95 written down here, but I'm saying 98. 98% with Ted Nugent. Now, some of you may be shocked. Some of you may, let me tell you something, Jeff Clayton, you are a, and fill in the blank with all this stuff. But then there comes the issue of Ted Nugent's music. Now, to me, the Amboy Dukes were a little spotty, but I loved them. I loved that band. There's an era that I love more so than the other. I know most people say, "Oh, I love the psychedelic." Not me, man. I mean, I like it, but the era right before they just decided to drop Amboy Dukes and just be Ted Nugent instead of Ted Nugent and the Amboy Dukes. Now I know only one guy or so went from the Amboy Dukes into Ted Nugent's solo thing, but to me, I know a lot of you guys that are my age and grew up on that stuff. I'm going to say this. I have a feeling most of you will agree with me. But I love that stuff from the first album. Free for All, Cat Scratch Fever, Double Live Gonzo was just unbelievable. And Weekend Warriors. After Weekend Warriors, I liked State of Shock. I liked State of Shock a lot. But then, man, it started to kind of dwindle down. And I was just like more like songs from the, a couple songs from the album instead of digging the whole album. Then it just got to where I really couldn't tolerate a bunch of it at all. But Nugent could still pull out a great song here and there. But then he kind of started going back to his old way of doing stuff, Spirit of the Wild and stuff like that. And I like those albums. But man, that sweet spot period, and that a lot of that may have to do with just when I grew up and the impact it had on me at that time. Black Sabbath. Ozzy or Dio? I'm going to say this. I say it all the time. Matter of fact, me and my friends like Jeff Williams and all, he likes to throw this up just so we talk about it so he can say amazing things trying to make me mad. But my favorite is Dio Sabbath. And you think, oh, damn, you don't like Ozzy, man. You got to tell me. No, I love Ozzy Sabbath. From that first album all the way to, I guess Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, man. That's Sabotage. Let's go ahead and drag Sabotage into that group. That's like a streak of perfect records, man. That's a pretty damn good streak too. But people say, oh, when you say you like Dio Sabbath better, well, look here. Here's Dio Sabbath. I've done this before. Here's Dio Sabbath. There's Ozzy Sabbath right there. I just think Mob Rules was Black Sabbath at its ultimate pinnacle. And then I now have to say Mob Rules, and I have to say right after that, man, now you're talking about Volume 4. I love all that stuff. To this day, I've still never really given Technical Ecstasy and Never Say Die a chance. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, any of the stuff beyond that, I've not listened to it at all. Well, I got to take that back. Born Again. I love that album. And but I've heard the rough mixes of what it was supposed to be, and it sounds 1,500 times better than the actual album. I wish somebody would just put that out officially. I just don't know why they don't just go back and remix some of this stuff. I mean, they've got the technology now. It's not like the gigantic undertaking it once was. Ginger or Marianne? Ginger. Sissy or Pam? Pam. I wrote something here I'm looking at, and I can't understand what the hell I meant by this to save my life. So I'm going to mark it out because I'm not going to try to decipher it right here in front of y'all. I'm going to tell you a type of punk rock, hardcore, and all that we all grew up digging. In these bands, don't get me wrong, I'm going to say something really disparaging about the UK 82 type bands, you know, Discharge, Exploited, GBH, and all the others under that umbrella. Good bands. And they came out of the damn chute, you know, like a winning horse. Edward or Armando says Flo or Alice. Oh, man, that's a tough one. You know, I've never really given that one a thought. I mean, I guess I'm going to have to go with Flo. But they came out of the chute, man, raring to go. But I'm going to tell you what, they dated themselves so bad, whining and crying about Reagan and Margaret Thatcher. And all the American bands, you know, yelling about Reagan and stuff. That just dates you. And 4 years later, more than likely, your stuff is completely, it's kind of obsolete. You know, you just remember the old days when you used to bitch about when the country was good. Man, whatever. I don't agree with any of that. I thought it was ridiculous the way they always put down Margaret Thatcher. She's the best thing that ever happened in that country, in my opinion, besides Winston Churchill. But what do I know? I'm just living in, I'm living in New London, North Carolina. But I have my opinions. Yeah, Brian, Green Day made 5 albums about Bush, but they're not making any about Biden? Well, okay. Whatever. That's right, Brandon. Living in the day of the eagle, not the dove. I see in the social media news things that there's a controversy, going back to the Ramones, actually. Controversy now about a Ramones movie that's getting the brakes put on it by Linda Ramone. And you know what? When you talk about the Ramones or anything that's going to happen involving the Ramones, especially since none of the members are with us anymore except for Mark. And you know what I mean? The decision makers, they're all gone. And all that's left are the people who handle their estates. So, you know, anything that comes out, it's basically going to be a Joey slant or a Johnny slant. And I'm sure there's a lot of other reasons for Linda threatening a lawsuit to stop that movie. But I'm going to tell y'all right now, I'm on Team Linda Ramone. I got that phrase right there from Eric Todd today. Eric does a wonderful podcast about Charles Bronson. I was on it once. I'd like to be on it again sometime. I don't know if he's listening to this, but it's out there. But now the thing about me, everyone thinks a movie is going to be this big decision maker, this big tide turner. But I don't think that's the case. You know, like John Lydon was worried about that Sex Pistols thing, that Sex Pistols miniseries from Hulu that was based on Steve's book. Well, it's only Steve's point of view. Everybody's got a different point of view on the same thing, you know. There's not really a whole lot you can do about that. But I'm siding with her on this, man. That movie will paint Johnny to be a horrible person, I imagine. I'm not sure that's exactly what all her reasoning is, but I think a lot of it has to do with the rights to even do so. And there's also that G.G. Allen movie that people have talked about. And I'm going to tell you right now, I can go ahead and say this because I don't care about pulling any punches or saving any feelings anymore on that subject. I've heard that they are pushing the whole mental illness angle on that. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I knew the guy, and I never saw him as being mentally ill. And I'm going to tell you something. Yeah, everybody wants to celebrate mental illness nowadays. Well, I'm going to be old-fashioned about that, and I am not going to be waving anybody's mental illness flag for them. And when that movie comes out, I seriously doubt that I will even go see it. Even if it's streaming. To be honest with you, I really don't give a shit about someone else's opinion about a story that they weren't even there for. And Clinton says, look at what a dumpster fire Lords of Chaos was. I read that book. That's all I needed. I didn't need to see no damn movie about it. Which brings me to my last unpopular opinion. Now, I know a lot of you dudes, you like that black metal stuff. You know, and there's a reason that they all paint their faces black and white and wear about a lot of nails and tools and have upside down crosses and pentagrams and all that stuff, and you know, they're going to war. Well, I'll tell you what, Hoss, you better dress up even scarier and meaner than you already do, because I'm going to tell you something right now. You are on the side of the spiritual war that's going to lose. Those that put up the biggest, scariest, do that because they themselves are afraid. That war is already going to be won by the other team. Unpopular opinion. Well, y'all, I guess I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there with that unpopular opinion. Let y'all suck that in a little bit. As always, sorry I came on so scatterbrained because I thought I still had about 10 minutes left. But I didn't. But man, next week I will be, I'm hoping next week it's going to be me and Eddie sitting here with you. As always, I appreciate you, any and all of you, sitting here with me for almost an hour on a Tuesday night. There are so many other options of stuff you could be doing, but you choose to sit here with me. And for all of you listening tomorrow or later in the week, man, I appreciate all of you. Just a couple reminders. There will be a new episode of Tent Talks Tunes tomorrow night, I'm sure. Don't forget, check out some of my stuff on my Longhaired Weirdo label, because you're going to be hearing more about that in the next coming years. So, have a great week, everybody. Have a great weekend. May the Lord bless you all. And I wish you all well. Good night from your good pal, the long-haired weirdo, the unimpeachable president for life, the heel prez, Jeffrey K. Clayton. Till next time, folks.